All right, so we are back in this room today. If you've been following along with my YouTube journey, you might recognize this bookshelf. It is now actually being used as a bookshelf. In the last video, it only had ceramics on it, and there was a few comments about, well, what's the point in having a bookshelf if there's no books in it? There's books in it. Now, the reason we're back here today is that in that last video, you would have seen that just over here, there was a fireplace that had been opened up. It had previously been boarded up with plaster. And since it's been opened up, it's now been re-bricked. So here it is. So it's been freshly bricked and it's ready for a mantelpiece and a bit of trim and a bit of side trim. So that's where I step in. So we're going to be doing a very similar style to the bookshelves. Slightly, well, it's going to be oak, but a slightly different oak, you'll see in a sec. Same stain, and then just a bit of texture and a bit of a profile to it as well. It's going to be a fairly simple mantelpiece. But yeah, it's gonna have a little bit of depth to it too. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. Nearly forgot to mention, but yes, the walls are green. They did used to be white. Now they are not white. So yeah, just in case you're thinking, hang on a second, this room used to be white. You are white. Anyway, let's go make a mantelpiece. So I just got back from my local timber yard. And typically when I build with oak, I use American oak, which is, it is here somewhere, which is right here. So this is slightly yellower than this. This is called Glacial Oak. So this is a much whiter timber. I'll stand it up so you can see it. So you can see here, very similar grain pattern, but this is a lot lighter color than this here. But this is half the price of this. So we've gone and we've got ourselves some Glacial Oak. It actually has a lot less knots and stuff in it. So for the application that I'm using it for, which is staining it, it's gonna work out really well. So we've got 4 bits here. 2 are gonna be for a future video, which will be a bench seat. So stay tuned for that. And then 2 are gonna be for this fireplace mantle. So they're a bit gappy on this joint here. So we're just playing these down so we get a nice tight joint ready to glue them up. So that's a much tighter gap all the way down, which is what you want. So we'll get ready for biscuits and glue next. All right, so she's all dry. We're gonna chop her down to final length, and then we're also gonna plane her down so she's nice and flat. All right, so next up here, we've got 3 bits of timber left over that we're gonna make 2 sides of the mantle, and then one's gonna be the backing of the mantle. So I'm showing you now that this is how it's going to look. So this is going to be the bit we just glued up, and then this bit's going to sort of run up the wall just to give it a bit more thickness from the front on view. So what we're going to do is chop these down, and then we're actually going to route some decorative channels into them. So that's going to be a bit of fun, just to give a bit of texture to the mantle, so it's not just sort of a big solid block of timber. So yeah, we're going to chop these down and route some channels. So now we're just going to take the ears off the top piece of the mantle, so it just gives it a bit of shape. The angle here is going to match the light fitting angle that is going to go above it, so that's how we're tying it in. Right,
So I had to buy a whole router bit kit just to get a bullnose bit, which is unreal. Luckily it was only 20 bucks. So I'm pretty sure they would be about 20 bucks each anyway. So I've laid out where my grooves are gonna go on my boards here. So I'm gonna put this guide in my router here, and then just push that up against the edge of the timber, and hopefully that'll give me a nice consistent reveal around the edge. So I'm just gonna have to go slow, be patient, which is probably something that I'm not typically great at, and not try and do this too quickly. I've got some calming tunes playing, so I'm going to do this nice and slow and controlled. Wish me luck. All right, I've stuffed that. Give me a minute, I'll try and think of how I can fix it. All right, that end was far better. This end, not very good. So I still haven't figured out what I want to do with it. One option is maybe thickening this line altogether so it comes out and meets the edge of that. The other option is to do some sort of like carving work here, except I don't have any carving tools. So I'd have to come up with some sort of chisel technique that would allow me to do some sort of carving technique. All right, so I think I'm just gonna try and make this some sort of like decorative bubble thing going down. That's all I can really think of at the moment. I like the weight of this line as it is, so I don't want to thicken it up and take away from that. So I think I'm just going to try and use the palm router. Oh, this could go so bad. I think I'm going to try and use the palm router and just manually sort of carve a bit of a shape into this. And yeah, turn it into a bit of a cloud puff sort of thing just on this edge here and make it sort of a decorative thing. So we'll see how it goes. All right, that looks horrible. So I think I'm just gonna thicken up that line and see how that looks. We may just have to start again with this one. All right, once again, it looks horrific. So last option here is going to be, if I draw a line there, getting rid of all this material here, having like a little patch there, and then sort of beginning the rest of the detail after that. Which should be able to hide, hopefully, most of the ugliness in here. Yeah, that's gonna be our last resort. And if that doesn't work, then God help us. All right, I think that kind of works. I'm okay with that. I think we did okay. But we'll see, I'll do the other end and I'll have a look at it standing up and see if I like it. Okay, so after doing what I thought might help, I'm still not pleased with it. I tried sanding it to see if like softening everything would hide some things, but I actually just think it looks pretty average. I like the sharpness of like the original groove. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plane this down and then start again. But instead of doing this sort of profile here, because it just proved to be a bit too tricky to keep consistent, I'm just gonna start with a rectangle starting here and going that way. And yeah, so that's where we're at. Let's do it. All right, clean slate. Let's do it properly this time. All right, so this is how she's looking. So next step here is to glue this top piece to the mantle itself. So we're gonna do the same process as before and just glue or biscuit and glue them. So yeah. So now we're going to route we're going to route the profile for the underside of the mantle. So this is the only fancy profile bit that I have, so that's what we're going to use. And yeah, not much else to it. Let's do it. All right, so before we go further, that's going to need some glue. Okay, so we've got a bit of a trampoline here. Yeah, not great. So what we're gonna do, this is the bit that chipped out when we're routing this profile here. So we have enough width on this board to be able to trim this back. So we'll just trim it back right to where the profile begins, and then we'll reroute the profile and reroute the top chamfer as well. Because yeah, I just don't want that little trampoline in the final product. So yeah, that's the plan. All right, dusty stuff. So we're all done here. We've rectified the situation. There's no more trampolines in this mantelpiece, at least that I can see. So we're just gonna give this a bit of a sand and then get ready for install. So yeah, let's do it.
All right, so it's an early Monday morning. We've got the mantelpiece flipped on its front, on its top. We're gonna stain the bottom, the back and the sides so that when we install it, we're not staining up against the freshly painted walls, because I know someone who wouldn't be happy about that. So yeah, we're not gonna stain the face or the top here because we're gonna screw through that into the brick. So to avoid messing that up, we're gonna stain that once it's in situ. So yeah, we'll get to staining and then we'll get to installing. All right, so this is where the trim's going. And now because we have nothing to sort of screw to behind here, this is just brick along here, and this is obviously just brick as well. We have these packers. So we have a few of these packers here that we're just gonna glue to the wall here. I'll shoot a few nails in after I glue them just to hold it there while it dries. But then they're gonna act as something that we can then screw to when we go to screw the actual trim over the top. So that's what we're doing. This glue, like that, this glue is so dry or just so tough that the handle on the gun is bending before the glue's coming out of the tube. Look at that. All right, fresh gun, fresh glue. Much easier. All right, another fresh gun, because that one was not the quick stop, whatever this is called. Here's the plan for securing the mantelpiece to the brickwork underneath. As you can see, it's a bit rocky. So what we're going to do is we're going to countersink a hole, which we've already done, like so, into the timber. Then we're going to come through with our masonry bit here, drill a pilot hole. Like so. Now we're going to take the mantelpiece off. Now we're going to come through with our bigger masonry bit and drill to the depth of our plug. Also, don't ask why I have different brands of tools. I've got Makita drill, this is new, this is kind of the brand that I'm trying to go to. I've got a Bosch one, which is Dad's tools, which I started out with. And then I've got DeWalt, which is like something I got in a redemption pack when I bought my DeWalt planer. So I started with DeWalt, I had Bosch, and now I've moved to Makita. All right, now we knock our plugs in. Lovely. Put our mantelpiece back on, and then screw the mantelpiece to the brickwork. Maybe I need longer screws. Right, so just needed a few packers and now it's pretty good. Yeah, installed. Okay, so next step here is we've got some trim and we're going to be covering the gaps between the brickwork and the floorboards. Conveniently, this is the bit that I cut off the mantle when it had that trampoline damage. So we're going to use this. I quite like the profile. It ties into this nicely and it just looks good. All right, she's all taped up, ready for staying. So we're up to oiling. I actually put a coat of oil on this yesterday, but for some reason it didn't record. I can't even figure out why, because I swear I hit record. Anyway, so the way I usually oil stuff is I do sort of a thick brush on or roll on for the first layer and let that sort of set overnight, as it's a hard wax oil. So the wax hardens on the surface and then I sand it down lightly with sort of 240 grit. And then I come back and I apply sort of a wipe on, wipe off method. So we're up to that second step now. So we'll give it a light sand and then a bit of wipe on, wipe off.
So tapes off, you would have noticed there's a bit of paint that needs touching up and a bit where the stains bled in underneath. So we'll do that, and then we'll also do our skirting board. So we'll cut a couple of test pieces just of offcuts of this to see what angle that is and transfer that to the skirting board so that we don't guess on the skirting boards and then end up wrong. So yeah, home stretch. So here's our little test piece. So it looks like it's going to be a bit shallower than 45 degrees. I don't know if you can really see that. So it might be more like 40 here. And then we'll use the other side to transfer the other side.
So the audio ended up cutting out here, but we went back and forth between the saw with this little bit of timber to get our final angles. This one here ended up being 40 degrees and the other one ended up being 44 degrees. So then we transferred our angle onto our final bit of skirting board here. Forgot to hook up the dust extraction on the first one, so there's MDF dust flying everywhere, which is always good for the lungs. Rectified that issue on this second cut though, so that was much nicer for my airways. And then we put some liquid nails on the back of these, glued them in place and then shot some nails in just to hold it there while the glue went off. So yeah, ended up being a nice finished job. Yeah, it just looks like it's built in nicely.
All right, that's it. So we're all finished here. There's a few fires have already been had. I think I'm sitting on some ash. So yeah, I like how it's turned out. Nice and simple fireplace mantle, fits in nicely with the room. I'll actually give you a room tour because it's starting to come together really nicely. But yeah, that's it. So these are our bookshelves that we made in a recent video. And we've obviously got the fireplace that we've made in this video. Nice lighting, there we go. We come around here, got a dining table from when we were kids. Got these shelves here with some of Mum's ceramics. I didn't make these were bought. Nice little Japanese style, which is kind of what we're going for in here. Little sitting area, some shrubbery, and then the ceramic mug display. That is also another video from a while ago now. So yeah, the room's coming together nicely. Probably needs a update and some furnishings. These couches aren't great. But aside from that, we're looking good.